Okay, so hi, today we'll talk about Dasharo Tools Suite and what happens and what will be happening in the near future. The agenda for today, we'll talk briefly what DTS is, although it's been already briefly covered today by Piotr. What are the components, some statistics, we will do some downloads, we'll see some more on issues, pull requests, so more of the development ones. We'll cover the recent changes, what are we working on right now, and what we will be working on in the future. We finalize with some brief discussion on how you can get involved in this project if you would like to. So what is DTS? In short, it's like a set of tools running in a Yocto-based image we are producing. With a goal of providing a better user experience for Dasharo users for activities like deployment, Dasharo update, access to the DPP, so Dasharo Pro package, for customers who acquire that. Also, some more complex cases like switching from one Dasharo flavor to another. For some machine, we have like UEFI and has firmware alternatives, so you are free to switch from one to another if possible. Also, there are some other helper tools like compatibility report, which can be dumped from a certain machine to give us some more insight on possible problems or maybe give some input data to possible creation of a new Dasharo firmware. So from a user perspective, DTS is something like that. It's like a text-based user interface. You have some static information on your system, and you have some menu options you can select by typing specific keys to perform some actions. That's basically the user interface right now. What are the components? We have several of them. We track issues in a common Dasharo issues repository right now. So not Zarhus, it's still Dasharo issues. We use Dasharo Tools Suite label. So you can click on this URL to move to list only the issues for Dasharo Tools Suite products. In terms of repositories, we have two main ones right now for the DTS. We have DTS scripts, which contains the main DTS logic, so user interface, and also all of the actions in the backend. It's been extracted from the meta DTS a while ago. We will see that also in a moment in statistics graphs. And the main repository where also the releases happens is the meta DTS. It is basically a Yocto meta layer. It integrates DTS scripts, also other tools which are required by those scripts to run properly. So a bunch of recipes and image recipes as well. And we also have tests. Currently, those are stored in OSFV, so Open Source Serial Validation repository under dedicated directory. What time frame we will cover today? We had the last DTS status presentation in December. It was during the Dasharo user group number 8. So we should cover today the time for the last 8 months or so. And also we would like to cover basic plans for this year. Some statistics, so let's start with issues. So Dasharo Tools Suite label in Dasharo issues repository. We can see a steady growth of open issues, especially in the last quarters, last month, we can also see the decreasing number of closed issues. It might be concerning if it won't change. So we feel, especially in those last 2 months, we have like closed one. which is not too much. So let's see how it happens, how it will look like in the next meeting. Hopefully, we'll have some more. So we can see here this this separation I said before. Originally, those DTS scripts were part of MetaDTS, but we have decided that those should be in a separate repository. So we have created one around June, as you can see, 2024. And since then, it's like a rapid development in this repository, and most of the actual development of DTS happens here in the script. A bit less happens right now since then in MetaDTS, as most of the logic is in the scripts. We mostly update revisions in the MetaDTS, but also add some tools and update some tools if necessary, also to run properly. I wanted to have upstreaming status as well as part of this presentation. Unfortunately, not much going on right now. I believe we can definitely do better here. It's not like we lack of opportunities. Maybe we don't have time sometimes, but maybe it's just an attitude we can improve. We often add something to MetaDTS. We have a lot of recipes there. We don't add them to upstream layers. We add to our layer directly and often don't go back to upstream that. If you would do that in the first place, they would probably be upstreamed at some point. So I think that should be also one of our goals, to work on this area and hopefully have some success story here. In terms of recent changes, let's briefly go through the releases which have happened since December 2024. So in December, we've had 2 fixed releases. One was a fix for Nova Custom NS50, so 11th core, so not the latest one, but there were some problems, and we have pushed fix not so long before Christmas, so everyone can update their firmware for holidays. Another fix was regarding HCI report and DPP credentials fixes. Then 2025 already, in January, we have a fixed release for logs. We use this log feature that can be used to diagnose some problems with end users. We have also added support for the Nova Custom Meteor Lake model, a 16-inch variant with heads flavor, which is a CubeSOS certified model, and we can update it via DTS. Moving on to February, we have published a fixed release for Odroid firmware update deployment. And then in March, we have had another new device, a Nova Custom Meteor Lake as well, but this time 14-inch model, again with heads flavor. So this release happened a bit later. Then at the end of the March, we had quite a big change. So we have been migrating our Dasharo Pro package source from the Nextcloud share to the MinIO, which is like a self-hosted S3 compatible object storage solution. So right now we are using single set of credentials per user for a lifetime. So once you buy anything, any kind of DPP package, you are granted with basically a set of credentials, as you typically are with registering to some product. And depending on your future purchases, you are either granted with some additional permissions to download download more binaries, or after the bot period is finished, those are removed from your account, but you are still have the same credentials. And if you decide that at some point you want to again purchase some kind of package, you are still using the same set of credentials. It's very user-friendly change from the previous one that we've had shares from Nextcloud, where you would need to use a multiple set of credentials if you have purchased multiple products. So for network appliance, you would have one set of credential. For desktop, you would have another one. For heads, you would have a third one. That could be a mess quite quickly if you had a multiple set of products. It was also not that easy to maintain on the server side. So we have migrated existing users by providing them those new credentials, and from this point on, we are using this method exclusively to provide DPP firmware. Moving on to June, we have added support for CBIOS PC engines. CBIOS was a bit specific because it's also yet another firmware flavor in the DTS. In terms of what's going on right now, the single biggest problem we are having right now, and we want to resolve it before moving on to new features, new user interface, libraries, and so on, is having a reliable set of tests, because we want to avoid a situation where we do a major redesign or work of some parts of the system, and we lack we are not sure whether it still works as intended. So we need to have a set of tests, and after each new major change, we can execute them to make sure we haven't introduced a new regression. So the core functionality that we need still functions the way that it should. We already do have some so-called end-to-end tests that somehow simulate the flow of the updates, mostly updates, because update is like the critical functionality, but not only update, also like initial deployment and so on. The main challenge is that we support multiple hardware systems, and testing on those is sometimes tricky, especially on laptops. It might be more difficult to test it like end-to-end automatically, and we need like a fully automated set of tests, ideally to be executed in CI for each new pull request. So we want to emulate as much as possible, but the current problem with the current approach is that not all of the platform-dependent steps are executed in emulation. So even if we have passing scenarios in emulation, they may still fail on hardware. So it means that the trustworthiness of those test scenarios is not sufficient for us. So we have a proposal, which is in the linked issue, that we would modify DTS calls to allow us for getting some traces, some samples, that we would trace what commands have been executed, what have been the exit codes from these commands. So that would be our reference, and we would run the same in emulated environment and compare them. So if you look at this approach closer, we start with collecting samples from real hardware workflow. So we need to manually or semi-manually, semi-automatically run some workflow we are interested in, like for instance the update, and gather the full trace from execution, including all of the commands in the backend and their return codes. So if the end result, for instance, the update is successful, we can consider this sample is trustworthy and we want to use it as a reference sample. But if not, we discard it and we need to try again. If it fails, if the update fails, then there is probably some bug in the DTS, and we shouldn't use this trace as a reference one. Once we have a reference sample, our goal would be to run the same workflow on emulation in the QEMU environment, where we would mock the execution of hardware-dependent tools. As a result, we would receive a trace from QEMU that we could compare against the reference one we have from hardware execution. And if we have a match, we can say that the end-to-end was completed successfully. If not, we could say that it was a failure. So in essence, this approach proposes that we have a flow, a method to test the logic flow of the DTS, assuming that the hardware works as it should work. It responds as expected. So that is at least the success scenario. But we want to also cover some negative scenarios. So if hardware at some point in the flow responds in a different manner, we should check whether the DTS logic performs a specific set of actions in certain scenario to, I don't know, don't break the device or anything like that. So that's the idea around those tests, and one of the major things being worked on right now. In terms of roadmap, so the first release we are expecting right now any day is 2.6.0. So one of the part of this was supposed to be end-to-end testing. We will see how much of that we can fit, because we have a slight delay here on this implementation. But another one, which is I believe mostly ready right now to be released, is Odroid Slim bootloader, which is also yet another Dasharo firmware variant supported in the DTS. Then the next release we are expecting is 2.6.1, which is closer to the end of this month, which should include Nova Custom Meteor Lake models, as well as Odroid H4 release. And somewhere closer to the end of this quarter, hopefully before the CubeSOS Summit in September, we have one other release planned, which should cover hopefully ASRock server, which is not released yet in terms of the Dasharo firmware, and also updates to existing platforms like MSI PC engines, as well as finalized version of this end-to-end testing, which should allow us to move to the future. And the future is adding support for the PC engines UEFI variant as well, which should be released somewhere this year. Working on build reproducibility should be one of our goals, because right now it's not fully reproducible. So and we see it as quite a major problem that user cannot confirm that this release was built from this specific code right now. And we have also this thread of UI library separation and related topics like improvements and other considerations, but we don't want to touch it too much until we have a reliable set of tests. And finally, how to get involved. We have documentation on docs.dasharo.com. You can get started here in terms of how to build, how to contribute. But another way I would like to promote here and propose is the bug bounty program we have started not that long ago. If you go to the Dasharo issues, you will also see bug bounties per product, and there is one of them is Dasharo Tools Suite. So if you're specifically interested in that area, you may go there and list what kind of bounties are suggested against this DTS, and usually they are small enough just to get started. So that's it. Any questions?
Thanks, Maciej. I'm not sure if questions. I definitely have some comments regarding the gathering these workflows.
Yeah.
My kind of emphasis was on not only caring about the positive parts or kind of successful parts, but also on error parts. I think, okay, by the way, I lost the camera. I think this is disconnected. But anyway, my point is that over those years of developing DTS, it was very important to listen customers and users, and then realize, okay, what kind of problems we have and how we could handle or correctly communicate this problem. And we introduced those error paths and those error handlings. And I guess that's very critical to preserve that in the validation, because otherwise we will not cover the error paths, and if something will go wrong in similar way like in the past, then user will be confused. And right now we already have some pool of downloads and pool of users that confirm that to some extent Dasharo Tools Suite is useful and gives correct feedback. So that's one thing which is, in my opinion, very important. So not only positive scenarios, but also error paths. And of course, it is very hard to cover all the error paths. So I hope next time we will talk about Dasharo Tools Suite, we could say that we successfully covered those also. And also a little bit about the UI separation. Why we even aim for UI separation. So what we see is that there is a lot of reuse or potential reuse between various usages of the Zarhus. So some features are essentially the same. The backend or the core system or some security features are essentially the same. And we would like to make sure that the UI is completely decoupled from this backend logic. So we can also apply the same scheme to some products like provisioning box OS. So the one which is used for root of trust and chain of trust maintenance. And of course, tests blocking all that. So the logic is do the test, do the UI separation, and then introduce this UI separation into other operating systems that we deliver. Yeah, and of course, like, thanks for mentioning bug bounty. It's very important for us. I see the number of people interested in it growing. Even today, we had some new users asking, so that's good. And hopefully, we can bring some more developers to Zarhus team to that. So thank you very much, Maciej, for the presentation.